What's going on, guys? It's Groove back again with another video from Bitcoin, everything divided by 21 million. And in this chapter, we're talking about Bitcoin and how it relates to the current monetary system and violence. You know, in the past, when people became enslaved, it was done by violence. It was done by force. You know, nobody volunteers for slavery. And then when you're in slavery, 100% of the fruits of your labor go to the owner. You own nothing. You know, today in society, when you go to work, a portion of your fruits of your labor are taken by the government, and you can't tell them how to allocate it. Now, those taxes that you pay, they're supposed to help society, but again, you can't tell the government how to spend that money. So we're all kind of partial slaves. You know, even now, if you think about it, that Hurricane Helene that just came through and wiped out so many towns and people's lives got destroyed, the government came back and said, hey, we're going to give everybody $750. Like, really? Like, I've been paying taxes every month for my entire life, and you're just going to come down and give me $750? Like, what the heck is that supposed to do? You know, and it's not just income tax. It's like property tax, wealth tax, inheritance tax, death tax. We are taxed to hell and back. They really want you to be a slave in this modern day society. Just give us all your money. We're going to tax you at every step you take to keep you down as long as possible. This is what your government is doing to you. It's kind of crazy and mind-boggling when you think about it. All of this adds to your enslavement, and we haven't even started talking about inflation or debasement of the dollar yet either. So, you know, as you're paying all of these taxes, being enslaved, being kept down, your money just keeps getting weaker and weaker year after year. It's the system we live under right now. It's so hard to get ahead, but you know, you got to try and do what you can to get ahead. But not only does this mess with your money and kind of make you a slave in a way, it also messes with your mind. It makes you have a higher time preference, which means that you can only think of right now. I only have enough money to make it till next week, or what am I going to do next in 2 weeks or next month. It stops you from being able to plan your life out, from being able to think about the future. What am I going to do in a year, 5 years from now? What is my life looking like in 10 years? Like, people can't even fathom what their life looks like in 10 years because their time preference is so high, they can only focus on the here and now. And that's crazy to me. Like, I've had conversations with a few people recently about this. I'm just telling them, hey, you need to save your money, put it in Bitcoin. You know, this is family members. I'm not just giving out random financial advice, but I'm like, hey, you need to allocate a portion of your resources to Bitcoin. Like, start buying it up a little bit. And they're like, what do you mean? How can I use Bitcoin in my everyday life? And I'm like, it's going to save you in the future. And they were like, the future? What do you mean the future? And I'm just all like, this is how people are living. They can't even fathom the future because the money is messing with their mind right now. And so they can only think to next week, to next payday. And it's crazy how much that affects your life when you can't even think of the future. But again, the system is designed to do this on purpose. And people may be wondering, like, why would the government do that to us? Like, we're all, we live in this country, wherever country you're at. Like, why would they do this to us? Why would they do this to the people? It's because the more enslaved a person is, the easier they are to control. When you need the government for things, they can make you do things. They can make you take that jab. They can make you put that covering on your face. Like, whatever they need you to do, you'll do it. You'll be more easy to manage. And, the state has been trying to do this over thousands of years. This isn't new. This is why they need you enslaved. They need you to be broke. They need you to have that high time preference, is because you're easier to control. When you become dependent on the state, they don't see you as people anymore. They see you as cattle. They see you as sheep. Oh, these cattle need Section 8. These cattle need welfare. These cattle need food. Like, they just look at you as like an animal because you're always needing the government. You're not sustaining on your own. One of the core problems with democracy is because it favors the sheep over the wolf. They don't want you to be dependent on your own self. They don't want you to, again, be self-dependent. They want you to depend on the state so they can have control, so they can manage you. You're just a little sheep. Like, they're just a little cattle, and they can do whatever they want. They want you to stay in your house forever, you'll do that. They want you to take the jab, you'll do that. They want you to mask up and stay masked up for years, you'll do that. Like, this is what they want. They don't want you independent. They don't want you thinking for yourself. They don't want you thriving. Like, they want you enslaved. It's crazy, but that's the world we live in right now. But that's where Bitcoin comes in to save us, because it's not tied to any state. It's not tied to any institution. It's a freedom money. It is freedom. It's a tool for freedom. It's a tool for, you can keep your own value and exchange it with whoever you want to. It's kind of here to save us from being on this slave plantation that we all live under. Bad money and bad governments go hand in hand. Governments at their core are kind of bad. The bigger they are, the more of a blob they become, and the damage they do around the world is immeasurable. And so this is where Bitcoin comes in. It's like a force to oppose that. Every time you get some money, you go to work and you get some money, you should trade some of that in for the good money. It's like a life raft to all of the violence that the bad fiat system that we live under creates. When they can just conjure dollars out of thin air to go blow up people and then conjure more dollars up to go help them rebuild after what they just blew up, a small group of people, some of them in government, are getting paid off of that. So it's like the current system that we live under, it thrives off of violence, whereas Bitcoin is the fix towards that. It's the opt-out of violence. And also, he touches on a little bit about inflation in this chapter as well. When inflation hits a goods producer, 3 things happen. He says the price of the goods get more expensive, the unit of account goes down. Think about a bag of chips and how you can go get a bag of chips and like half of the bag is filled with air, or the quality of that good gets worse. Think about a house. A house costs way more today than it did 50, 60 years ago, but the quality is worse. The materials they use are worse. All of this is caused by inflation, which is caused by the money printing. It's nothing more. It's not the goods producer. It's not these companies or these businesses. When we print more money out of thin air, which is bad governments, bad Federal Reserve, everything gets worse. Everything gets more expensive, less quality, and you get less of it. It's just this system that we live under. It's all bad. It's all violence, and it all just creates bad everything. We need to get out of this. We need to go to a sound money standard. He also touches on interest rates, and when interest rates are kept, artificially low, this creates monopolies in the world. How these big companies are in cahoots with the government. They work hand in hand to make sure that they're both situated and they're both good and they're both making money. And he doesn't talk about this part, but it's kind of funny. A certain presidential candidate today keeps talking about how they're going to give, $50,000 so people can start small businesses. They're running on the small businesses. I just want to let everybody run a small business. You're just going to kill the small business because of the money printing. It just allows these big monopolies to take over. Like, why would I go to somebody's small business when I could just get it cheaper from this company that you're helping out over here? So it sounds good with I'm going to give people money to start small businesses, but at the end of the day, because the money is bad, the current system we live under is bad, it's really hard for a person who starts a small business to compete with that big monopoly company. But again, this is the system that we live under, and things that people don't talk about or think about until you start getting into the better money system, which is Bitcoin. Going back to the violence portion, he talks about how, it's really remarkable that once you move money from a physical realm to an informational realm, it really puts a dampen down on the violence. You can't just print money out of thin air to go bomb a country and take their resources. Like, you have to provide value. You have to communicate with somebody else and give them what they want in order to receive or get Bitcoin. It's going to put a stop to all the profit that there is in war and violence. Then he just ends off by saying that, our grandchildren will look back and just be appalled and embarrassed about how we acted in the 20th century and the 21st century. With all the wars that go on, or all of the stealing and all of the theft, it's not right. And again, this is what happens when you live under this current monetary system. People get paid when violence is ensued. People get paid when bombs are created and dropped. People get paid when people are hurting or suffering. And with Bitcoin, it no longer allows that. It's peace. It's less violent. It's more cooperation. You have to provide value in order to get it. I really like that, because most people don't think about money that they work for today is the cause of all of the violence and all of the wars that we're going through right now, and how Bitcoin can actually change that. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Go ahead and hit a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.